Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Roopesh Nair, I'm product manager at Microsoft, focusing on Azure Migrate. I have with me my colleague, Vikram Bansal, also product manager on Azure Migrate. Welcome to our session today. This is awesome, awesome to be here, excited to be sharing the stage with my colleague. And if I don't capture this moment from this perspective, looking at all of you, I think it'll be an injustice if I don't share this with my team members out there who worked really hard to bring in all this new announcement that you're going to hear now. So allow me to indulge. I'm going to take a snap, if you don't mind.
Come on.
Good.
Yeah.
And we'll make you part of it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now that we have gotten it out of the way, let's dive into today's session. Today we'll look at how Azure Migrate helps streamline your migration journey across all stages. Okay. So let's start why you should consider migrating to Azure. The challenges most of our customers face on-premises is the delay in starting to deploy the adequate resources that are required for performance and resiliency. And you're also plagued with some of the security concerns because of the changing threat landscape around you. So some of you have already have your hands full just maintaining the status quo, and rarely you have enough resources and time to invest in productivity investments, especially around all the innovations that are happening with AI. And this is where Azure can help you. Azure is designed to meet you wherever you are in the cloud journey. By migrating to Azure, you can tap into the global network of data centers that gives you agility and scale and security across all the regions worldwide. This agility ensures that you get the performance that you desire at a very competitive cost when compared to other hyperscalers. And Azure offers you unparalleled security that help you to adapt to the changing security needs in the current economic situation and all the threats situation that is going on. Moreover, let's not forget why you guys are here to learn about all the goodness around AI and the last few days and all the innovations that are happening. All of this, plus the expertise is available at your disposal, empowering you to leverage your data and help get yourself the competitive advantage over others. I would make a claim here Azure is the best platform for AI. Here is why. A recent Forrester Total Economic Impact study shows clearly that customers who migrated to Azure significantly benefited from the improvements in flexibility, innovation, and cost savings compared to their on-prem environments. We recommend co-locating your data as well as workloads on Azure to maximize these benefits further. Even if AI adoption isn't your immediate goal, co-locating your data and application workloads on Azure will position you in such a way that you will get the advantage of the cloud agility and the cloud value. At the same time, the security innovations that are happening on a constant basis and helping you to take advantage of all the future innovations that can happen. Let's dive into the details how these improvements benefit your organization. I would like to take a quick show of hands in terms of the kind of role that you're playing in your organization. How many of you are in IT and infra administration role? Can I? Okay, awesome. And how many of you are cloud solution architects, partners, consultants? Awesome. Sellers who are helping. Awesome. Okay, there you go, Vikram.
Good number.
We have enough goodies for all of you today to share in terms of product innovations, of course. So let's explore the cloud migration journey from the perspective of different stakeholders. So be it a business decision maker or infrastructure admin or a cloud solution architect or an application owner, at every stage of migration, you have your own set of challenges that you have to face with, and throughout the journey of decide, plan, and execute the way we describe over here. So at the decide stage of cloud migration, a business decision maker is actually grappling with how do I justify the ROI of migrating to cloud. So they need to build a business case so that they can get the buy-in from the stakeholders. Not only that, they would want to select the best migration strategy that align with the organization goals. And they would want to make sure that all of this is going to, investments is going to be justified for their organization. From an infrastructure administrator point of view, they are looking at building the catalog of all the data center workloads that they have so they can understand and analyze that better. From the perspective of building a total cost of ownership that they're going to incur on Azure, the cost savings that they're going to get. More importantly, they're trying to understand the workload and all the interconnected dependencies so that they can estimate the storage requirements, the networking requirements, and more importantly, are they even ready for cloud adoption or not? So as you further progress in your migration journey, coming to the plan stage, you will again find infrastructure administrators working closely with cloud solution architects as well as application owners, trying to build a high-confidence migration plan for your organization. For all the applications that are there in your data center, you need to know exactly what is the strategy I'm going to take, how am I going to take this to cloud and to get the maximum benefit from out of it. Cloud solution architects are concerned, like how do I build the architecture for my applications in such a way that it is future-proof, it's scalable, it's secure, it's compliant. At the same time, they need to factor in all of the quality of service dimensions that I mentioned about, whether it's resiliency or performance or security and what have you. Cloud solution architects are also working with application owner to evaluate whether their applications needs to be optimized further or it needs to be refactored so that they can get the maximum benefit out of the cloud. At the end of this stage, both infrastructure administrator and the cloud solution architect, they have a good handle on the migration strategy as well as the plan that accrue towards the next stage, which is execute. At execute stage, you need to implement the plan that you have built previously. You need to have a continuous monitoring of measurements of security, performance, resilience, and scalability, and so on, so that you can further optimize your applications on cloud post-migration. The infrastructure administrator working closely with application owners execute to implement the migration plan. Application owners have the challenge of ensuring that they do this with minimal disruption to the business, with minimal downtime. As they onboard these applications to the cloud, they have to test their applications to make sure that it is working the way it is intended to. It is secure, it is compliant, it is performant, and it is scalable. And if necessary, they can go do the further optimization to get it the way they want it running on the cloud. So considering all of this, it is going to be like very challenging for all of these roles and many more who are silently working behind the scenes. Maybe it's a security architect or network administrators or database administrators who are all coming together to make this happen for the company. Though I have painted a very simple journey, in reality, every organization have different choices to make. And let's take a bird's eye view of how it is going to look like. We have been working with a lot of partners, such as you and industry analysts, as well as customers. And what we have noticed in our conversation is these applications are diverse. They come from different technology stacks. Either they are on-premises or on private clouds or on public clouds. The applications may be running on physical servers, on VMware environment, on Hyper-V, or even other third-party public clouds. Now, as customers look to onboard these applications to cloud, they need to make these hard choices. Am I picking the right infrastructure to run my applications? Am I picking the right database for my application? Are the application services that I'm configuring, are they scalable for my business needs? Will it help me keep me agile? So many questions to be answered. This is where Azure can help, as it provides a wide variety of landing targets to various types of workloads, including infrastructure, web, and data. And for certain applications that are not ready to move to cloud as of yet, maybe because of a variety of reasons. For example, it could be because of data sovereignty, or it could be that I need my application data close to my shop floor, right, because of performance or latency reasons. Or simply for the reason like I'm not ready yet. I would like to stage my movement to the cloud at a later point in time. For all these reasons, you might want to choose, even though you are looking to move away from your current stack, you have an opportunity to onboard to Azure Stack HCI or Azure Local. And at the same time, you can also opt in for management from cloud using Azure Arc. So at the heart of it, as you can see here, Azure Migrate provides customers with one-stop shop to make this happen. Customers can leverage Azure Migrate to discover their environment, understand the dependencies of how these workloads are communicating with each other, and help build a business case for the company to justify the ROI and the cost of savings that they're going to generate. At the same time, it will help you to build a detailed migration plan that includes readiness, the right size queue targets on Azure, and the best migration strategy for the same. Azure Migrate can help with lift and shift of virtualized as well as unvirtualized servers to Azure VMs. It is also complemented with bespoke applications that are purpose-built for specific needs. For example, as you can see, for applications that you have that are data intensive, where there is a gravity on premises that you need to move, you have Azure Data Box as a service that offers this capability. Or for databases that are part of your application that you want to move to Azure, you can leverage the database migration service. And in case for your web apps, you're looking to modernize or replatform them, you can use App Service Migration Assistant to move them to your app services or app service containers. And further, if there is a need for you to refactor so that you can take the advantage of the native capabilities on Azure, you can use application code scan assessment tools of Azure Migrate that will give you the necessary recommendations. On to top of it all, as I said, you are not ready to move yet. You can still onboard to Azure via Arc and manage these resources, or you can migrate on-prem to Azure Stack HCI or Azure Local and still get the benefit of Azure wherever you are. So now is the highlight of the show. We have a lot of announcements to make today, so please stay tuned here. You're going to miss and blink and miss many of those. Okay. I'm super excited to announce the limited preview of application-aware experiences in Azure Migrate. It allows customers to treat application that is composed of data, web, and infra as a single unit, and that you can track through the entire migration journey. So customers such as yourselves who are on the journey to cloud now can model the application and get a recommendation in terms of what it is going to cost for you to run this application on cloud and the savings that you can realize. Next, we continue to expand the support for workloads and platforms and tooling on a continuous basis. This includes a broad range of coverage for target services on Azure, as well as other infra services. Let's take an example here. Today, we are announcing support for Azure Arc within Azure Migrate workflow, where you can generate a business case to actually visualize the savings and TCO of Arc enabling your resources that you are not ready to move to Azure yet. We are also pleased to announce that today you can migrate from Hyper-V to VMware environments to Azure Stack HCI using Azure Migrate. Of course, we also have added support for Azure storage scenarios like premium V2 disks or data box. That's also something to watch out for. At the same time, we have added support for Linux distributions and open source workloads. We'll see more details about in the coming slides. And all of this is coming together in a refreshed user experience that is a guided and a structured way that is going to help you with every stage of migration. So let me deep dive into each of this, and I'll ask my colleague to actually do a demo. So application-aware experiences. As you might know, like till now, if you're already familiar with Azure Migrate, it presents users with infrastructure-centric views. What it means is you could actually build an assessment report for a set of machines or databases or web apps. It never gave you the context of an application that you solely miss. So for the very first time, we have added this capability in the product where you can actually define the application context for your workloads, group them together using tags, and you can track them across the migration journey end to end. This is just the very first step. I'm just revealing, like we are also working on to improve as application as a first-class object in the product. So watch out this space. And once you have done this grouping, we have added enhanced dependency visualization so that you can track the interconnectedness between the workloads, and you can identify the application boundaries, which will help you to solidify your definition of your application better. Now that you have an application defined using tags, you can actually track or build a business case for this application or sets of application and model what is the total cost for specific application that you want to run, especially the business-critical application that you want to track. You want to prioritize migrating to Azure first. You can track what is going to cost you. Of course, we will also help you with optimal migration strategy for this application or for the entire data center scope, where you can actually look at what is the best target, right-size SKUs, readiness, as well as the preferred migration strategy, whether you would like to migrate first and then modernize on Azure, or if you're pressed for time, you can go lift and shift first and then modernize, or the other way around, like modernize and then migrate to get the best value of the cloud. Expanded coverage for open source software workloads, as well as Linux distros. What we have done in this release is like support for Azure hybrid benefits for Red Hat Linux and SUSE. What this means is, while building a business case, you can select your Linux distros to maximize your savings, and Azure Migrate can help model this information for you in terms of the savings that you can incur with Azure hybrid benefits for these distros with Azure Migrate business case. We are also announcing at Ignite ability to discover and assess MySQL databases for its readiness to Azure database for MySQL. Additionally, we are adding Linux support in Azure Migrate experience for Rocky and Alma Linux. We have also added support for latest version of SUSE 15, Red Hat 9, and Ubuntu 22.04. We'll continue to evolve our platform and add support for latest versions of databases and servers, various applications, and targets on Azure. So please stay tuned for this space for new things to come in the coming quarters. Storage migrations with next-gen data box. When transferring large amount of data, it is often especially often over a network, it is often challenging and time-consuming. Of course, it's going to be a costly affair. Azure Data Box, a hardware appliance, offers this capability to securely transfer terabytes to petabytes of data to Azure. This new capability is in preview in certain regions in US, Europe, and Canada and some government clouds. So you can take advantage of this, and more regions are coming soon. So watch out for this space as well. We recognize that not all workloads are ready to move to the cloud immediately, and customers are looking to evaluate the choice of workload they would like to retain. We are introducing Azure Arc within Migrate workflow so that you can actually build a business case to justify the ROI and the cost savings that you can get by Arc enabling your resources on-prem. And Azure Arc gives you benefits like extended security updates, PageE for SQL, and other management and security capabilities and monitoring capabilities on your on-prem wherever you are. Migrations to Azure Stack HCI. We have added support for at-scale migration of workloads from Hyper-V and VMware environments to Azure Stack HCI within Azure Migrate. This capability allows customers to migrate at scale with zero data loss. We have covered a lot of ground in this presentation. Now it's time to see some of this in action. I would like to invite my colleague Kiran Madnani to walk you through some of these capabilities that we are introducing at Ignite. Thank you.
Hey, folks. Excited much? So much that Roopesh just spoke of. Let's dive into the demo and show you all of it, Azure Migrate in action. Now, you can get started by simply searching for Azure Migrate on the portal. When you get started, if you're a new user, you'd be asked to go ahead and create a new project. If you have an existing project, you can go ahead and find that from the All Projects screen, where, with the new experience, we have made it very simple to search, sort, and filter all your migration projects across all your subscriptions. This is a completely new experience that we are bringing to you. Now, let me show you how you go and create a new project. With some minimal inputs like the subscription, resource group, project name, and region, you can get started and create your Azure Migrate project while ensuring that all of your data is stored in a very secure and in a compliant manner in your tenant. By providing these simple details and clicking on Create, within a matter of minutes, you'd have your Azure Migrate project ready to go. Now, as soon as your project gets created, the first and foremost thing that you see being prompted to you is to start your migration journey. And you start it by doing the discovery of your data center. Now, you can perform your discovery either using appliance or import. You can import all of the inventory of your workloads and applications using the CSV or popular utilities like RV tools or configuration management databases, etc. We have also added recently a new capability on importing the information about your SQL Server so that you can review the inventory of your SQL Server instances and databases to generate accurate assessment reports. This, again, is a new announcement that we are making, import for your SQL Server instances using a CSV. Now, while using an import is an easy and a quick way to get started with your discovery, but you can also do that using an Azure Migrate appliance. An Azure Migrate appliance is a virtual appliance that you can go ahead and set up in your environment. The appliance helps you go ahead and perform your discovery, software inventory. It even periodically polls and gets the performance data to give you the right sizing for your workloads when you move them over to Azure. Azure Migrate's at-scale discovery capability means that you can discover servers of any hosting technology. You name it, VMware, Hyper-V, bare metal servers, or even your servers running on other clouds like AWS and GCP. All of this without installing a single agent on any of your source machines. We are completely agentless. You can get started by deploying this appliance using an Azure VM image, or you can also do it simply through a script that we offer through our experiences. Let me show you how. When I click on VMware as my choice of appliance, you'd get to see that there are two options to go ahead and download this appliance. The first option is the OVA file here, and the other option is that of a zip file which contains a PowerShell script. Now, when you go ahead and set up this appliance in your on-premises environment, All you need to do is register it with the project. We just created a project. And go ahead and provide the details of your source environment, and also provide us the credentials for your hosts. I know credentials ring a bell, but these credentials are safely encrypted and secured on your appliance VM itself in your environment. These credentials are never sent to Azure. So you can be rest assured of your credentials. Now, once you go ahead and set up the appliance and start the discovery, let me show you what happens next. So when you come back to your project and you have done your discovery, you'd see what we have to offer now, a brand new overview experience. As you can see here, this overview experience has been crafted in a way so that it helps you with easy navigation through different stages of your migration journey and makes it damn simple for you. Now, let us look at each one of these cards here. To start with, you can go ahead and start reviewing the discovered inventory. So you see here around 536 workloads that I've gone ahead and discovered. You can go review that. You can fix any discovery issues that you have faced. You can go ahead and create a business case to understand the value of the migrations. You can create an assessment, which is nothing but your migration plan. You can also initiate, execute, and track all of your migrations at one place. And you can also seek help and support at any time during your migration journey. Now, this is not just it. We are also bringing a new table of contents, a TOC. Now, this table of contents will again ease your navigation through your discovered inventory, through your analysis reports, and also help you track your migrations and modernizations. Now, let me look at this 536 workloads that I have discovered. And what you land in is an inventory page. Now, this inventory screen is a culmination of your infrastructure, your web tier, and the data tier of your application, which is running across Windows, Linux, and SQL servers. And you'd also find all of your installed software from all your servers. What you'd see here, it's like a one-glance place to go ahead and see all your discovered workloads in one single go. What we have also introduced is a capability to export that discovered inventory across your different discovery sources in the form of a CSV or an Excel file. Hey, I am in one of the servers. Let me show you what great details we are bringing to this specific page. I just clicked on one of the servers on my inventory page, and here I am. You see rich information about the server that we have gathered during our discovery process. You see the hardware configuration, the OS configuration, the network, storage, you name it. And you also have the software inventory up top. Now, the software inventory is the list of all the softwares you're running in that specific server. And also, it tells you the roles and features installed on your server. Again, I see that there are database instances running. I see that I have a web application running on this server as well. Look at the richness of all the workloads that we are actually pulling the information about. And lastly, the tags. I'll talk more about this, but here you can see that I have added 2 different tags, one for department and one for environment. But more on that later. But the good news is there are no issues on this specific server. That means there are no discovery issues. The server is ready. You can start creating an assessment and the business case for same. But that may not be the case always, right? So how do you find out if there are any discovery issues during the discovery phase? For that, you can go back to your TOC, and you'd find what we now call a one-stop shop to understand all your errors and discovery issues, and we bring to you Action Center. Now, in the Action Center, you can see that it's a consolidation of all the errors that you have on different workloads during their discovery. You can see the error ID. You can click on it, and you can find the resolution steps. You can find the number of affected workloads. You can find which discovery features are getting affected. And you can also see which ones are the most recent issues that you need to go fix. At the same time, the customer can flip this view to look at the issues by affected workloads. What this helps you to see is a specific server, what all different issues have you hit during your discovery process. Now, this is really helpful because what a customer can go and do is identify the servers that are really important to them and go and fix the issues that get pointed out in this specific page. And they can go and resolve it. Now, all this is goodness, right? Azure Migrate is a one-stop shop, and we provide you discovery assessment for all your workloads, be it your servers, be it your databases, or your web applications. But I think we've always been limited with a very server-specific view. Our assessments were always run for individual workloads in isolation. You could only create a business case for a data center scope. time and again, we kept hearing from our customers. We kept getting this feedback that, hey, I don't look at my migration goals in the terms of web apps or databases or servers. I want to do the migration of my applications as a whole. We were listening. And that's why we bring to you today a first-class experience to go ahead and group your workloads into applications with the power of tags. Now, when I say tags, tags are intended to go ahead and organize your workloads neatly into different categories. This can help you do the filtering, create scope business case, scope assessment reports, you name it. But tags here, the only primary use case is not that of just grouping the workloads into an application. But if you see closely, you can also add tags such as what I just shown a few minutes back, which was environment and department. Let's say you want to see all of your workloads where they have been tagged as environment, dev, test, prod. Now, being able to filter out these workloads will help you throughout your migration journey. And that's the power of tags I'm talking about. Now, I can go ahead and look at one such application that I'm running in my data center. For lack of better words, we call it Paths Unlimited. Now, I can, with the new experience, simply search for the workloads that are powering this application. And here you can clearly see that your web server is running a .NET application, and your data tier is running a SQL server. I mean, we went with the quintessential Windows and the SQL Server combination here. And what you can go and do, now that you know they are part of an application, just select all of these workloads and go ahead and tag them with a custom tag of application:paths unlimited. Now, you may ask, how will that help? That will help you in any of your subsequent migration operations, because you can simply find your Paths Unlimited application, which you actually tag during the discovery phase, and use it in all of the subsequent operations. So there you go. I have gone ahead and added the tag amongst many other tags here. Now, we have looked at the inventory. We have looked at the power of tags. But there's more. You can go ahead and use the dependency visualization of Azure Migrate, which also aids in identification of your applications. So in the new experience, Azure Migrate will auto-enable the gathering of dependency data on all your servers discovered within this project. So what you can simply do, you can find a specific server of your choice, go hit view dependencies on that, and that will actually take you to a dependency visualization. In the dependency visualization, what you see is all the incoming and the outgoing dependencies of that selected server. They have been default set to a time range of last 24 hours. But we again give you the liberty of changing that to last 7 days, last 30 days, or even select a custom range of your choice. Here, in this new experience, we bring a lot of richness with additional metadata about your servers, the connections, and even the processes running on those servers. You click on one such server, and you'd find information such as the IP address, the power status. You can also see the software inventory. Now, it may not always happen that you look at the dependency visualization and you know what application they are running. But this is where you can go ahead and use software inventory and find the different components of your application and then figure out what are the group of those servers which can together host my application. So you can use the software inventory to your rescue at that time. And again, I have shown you tags multiple times. So this is what you see on this server. Similarly, you can also find information about the connection here. What it shows a connection strength, which helps to understand whether this connection is ephemeral or it is a recurrent connection. You can also see what source processes on your server are talking to what other processes on the destination servers. Here, I can clearly see the connection strength in the last 24 hours. It's not so great right now. But you can also see that a .NET Web Application process is communicating with a SQL Server process on port 1433. I hope you can see that. Now, that's not it. In the new experience, we also help you go ahead and group these servers into a neatly defined application by adding tags inline this experience as well. So like I'd shown earlier, go to the server, say tags, and go ahead and add a tag called application:paths unlimited, which we have already done in this case. But you can go ahead and do that as well. Great. Now, we have looked at your inventory. We have figured out the applications, the dependencies. You come back to your overview, and you see the next organic step is to envision the ROI, to understand the cost savings of migrating your workloads over to Azure, and that's where you go and create a business case. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we were always limited to create a data center scope business case. No longer. Now that we have the power of identifying your applications, you can create a scoped business case for a specific set of workloads of your choice. Here, again, I'll go ahead and choose my Paths Unlimited application because that's the one I want to create a business case for and understand what does it take and how much cost savings can I accrue if I move it to Azure. See, I just selected Paths Unlimited, and I can go ahead and create that. Or I can also go ahead and create the business case for the entire data center by simply providing some very basic details like, hey, which region do you want to deploy it in, the migration preference, and so on and so forth. You can go ahead and create this business case just within a matter of a few minutes. Now, when I say business case, what you see here is amount of richness that we bring along in this business case report, starting with a comparison of your total cost of ownership of running your workloads on premises versus running them on Azure. And folks, this is an eye-opener here. You are making a cost saving of up to 57% if you move your workloads to Azure. It also gives you a year-on-year modeling of your cash flow, right, during your migration journey. Along with that, you can also see the financial model covers the different considerations like the Azure Hybrid Benefit Savings Plan, as well as your instant reservations. Now, I can jump into any one of these reports, the Azure IS report or Azure PaaS report. Let me go inside the PaaS report. And here, quickly, you can go ahead and see the cost savings that you can accrue by modernizing your workloads to Azure. I'll not go too deep into this, but that's just to kind of show you the power of this business case report. Now, somewhere Roopesh had mentioned, right, during a migration journey, we all know it's a multi-year journey. So it may so happen that you're not taking all your workloads to Azure at the same time. You may migrate some of your workloads a little later. Or there may be certain workloads that you want to retain on premises. We got you covered, as you can Arc-enable those workloads that you don't want to immediately migrate or you want to retain on premises and have them centrally managed through Azure. Here, you can see a cost comparison of with Arc-enablement and without Arc-enablement of your servers, and also see the total cost savings through different parameters here, like compute and licensing, security, management, labor, etc. Now, to compute this business case, we use industry-standard benchmarks. And you can go ahead and change these as per your liking, and you'll get a more context-specific business case of your choice. Now, I think you've bought in by now. You have seen the cost savings. You have the business case ready. Let's go ahead and see how you can create a high-confidence migration plan of moving all of your workloads to Azure. And that's where I get into the create assessment flow. Again, no points for guessing. I'm taking the Paths Unlimited application. I want to create a scoped assessment for the same. And I quickly provide a name for my assessment and give some basic details like the location where I want to deploy this application, the environment, the programs or offers I want to apply. And along with that, I can also provide advanced settings for how and where I want to land, or what are my past preferences to land my web tier. So here you can see I have provided my preferences. And I can quickly review and create my assessment. Now, this is where the richness lies. We bring to you application-aware assessments here, wherein Azure Migrate provides you all the richness, all the optimal migration strategies in one view. And this is basis the migration preference that you had chosen, which in my case is modernize. And rightly so, because I just saw in business case analysis, I stand to make so much cost saving if I modernize my applications. But can you change it? Yes, you can change it to minimize of migration time, and you can change the preference that will change the migration strategies accordingly. Let me go to one such recommended strategy and see what it has to offer. So here you'd go ahead and see that Azure Migrate has provided you the right targets to modernize your web tier and your SQL tier. See, your SQL tier is being recommended to re-platform to Azure SQL MI, and your web tier has been recommended to be re-platformed to Azure Kubernetes Service. So there you go. Now I can dive deeper into this, and I'd be able to see what SKU has been recommended for re-platform. I'd be able to see the cost estimate. I'd be able to see the recommended migration tool as well. Let me delve deeper. Here you will see the migration readiness of different targets in Azure. Now, SQL servers on-prem can go to different targets in Azure. But here, basis the considerations we make on the migration readiness and on the cost, we are recommending the customer to migrate it over to Azure SQL MI and not Azure SQL DB. You can see why. Because there are server scope credentials which are impacting my migration readiness for Azure SQL DB. So I cannot do that. So all that intelligence is built in, and Migrate is giving you all of those inputs. Now, if I dial back, we had just seen a recommended tool. And for some funny reason, we don't see it. It also has another tool that gets recommended. It's called Azure Database Migration Service. And this is where we jump into the execute phase. So Azure Migrate also helps you through and through with your execution phase as well. Now, let me show you the database migration service flow. So this is like an integrated first-party tool which you can use. And here you would see that you can go ahead and do your modernization of your data workloads very simply using DMS. And just with a few click of buttons, you'd see that DMS supports both homogeneous migrations as well as heterogeneous migrations. Homogeneous, same technology stack. Heterogeneous, different technology stacks. And what you'd see here is, just with a few options that you've selected, you can go ahead and migrate your data tier to Azure 𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗲. There you go. It's all done. Let me go back and do the same for my web tier as well. Why should that be left behind? Now here, the migration tool that you see is Azure Migrate Application and Code Assessment Tool. What that would do for you is, you can just scan the code of your web tier using this AppCat tool, which is now integrated in Azure Migrate, and you can just find all of the refactor recommendations here, right? What are the different code changes that you need to make? You can involve your Parts Unlimited your Parts Unlimited application dev team, and they can go through these code changes, and they can make these code changes, get this application ready to be modernized to Azure Kubernetes Service. And with all of this, here's your application. You see your application is now fully modernized and is running out of Azure within just a few steps that we perform. But that's not it, right? I mean, you may not be thinking about modernization. You may not have the time to do the refactor or replatform. We got you covered. Because in Azure Migrate, we have the native capability of doing a lift and shift of your workloads to even Azure VMs. And here, you can simply select the assessment recommendations. And you can quickly, again, choose the same workloads that I was showing earlier, which is your parts application workloads. And you can go ahead and migrate them over to Azure VM. Is that it? No, that's not. Let's say if you're still not interested in moving to Azure VM, but you still want to retain certain workloads on premises, we got you covered. And what Azure Migrate offers is, again, a first-class experience and a workflow to migrate your workloads from VMware VMs and Hyper-V VMs over to Azure Stack HCI. Oh, sorry, Azure Local now. Yeah, Azure Local. All of that is what we have kind of packed in this last 20 minutes. And I mean, I'm just like wowed with the kind of features that we have brought in. But I have 2 minutes. I'll leave you with something else as well. For all the sellers who had raised their hands in the crowd today, we bring you Azure Migrate Explore. Now, Azure Migrate Explore is a utility that helps export the Azure Migrate data and generate intelligent insights and dashboards to make your sales pitch to your business executives about how it is beneficial for you to move to Azure. It's a utility that you can go ahead and download. There are some few simple steps. You can just add project details, set some configurations. And what that would do for you is generate a report, but at the same time, generate an intelligent AI-integrated summary of that report as well, which you can go ahead and just provide a few details. Within a matter of few minutes, you'd see that it has generated an AI-powered report as well. So here you get the migration details, your company profile. You can add your company profile. Let's say I've added a telecom company, and what does it take, right? It gives you all of the inputs here, intelligent insights, and what are the AI opportunities to move your workloads and AI enable them. All of that comes through this particular report. I can simply export this report, and I can take it to my exec suite, and I can get them convinced with this good-looking and a very rich PPT, and I can tell them what is the benefit of moving to Azure. And I can give them the transformation considerations and the cost savings that they stand to accrue, and the security and additional benefits that you see when you move to Azure. Now, this is where you also see the AI-generated summary as well, right? Now, folks, I'm at the last minute. Let me just give you the key takeaways. And there are many, right? So let me just squeeze it in. I have 40 seconds. Parts Unlimited. Remember that name. Also, Azure Migrate now comes with rich application-aware experiences throughout the migration journey. You see enhanced coverage for OSS workloads. You see expanded capabilities for so many things like Azure Arc, Azure Storage. And you also get refreshed user experience through and through the journey, which gives you a guided handheld experience. And also, I showed you the Azure Migrate Explore, which now comes with powerful AI-generated insights, so that you can make that pitch more compelling to the people who need to hear it. That's all that we had for you folks. I have the countdown running in front of me. Thank you so much. If you have questions, we are at the cloud migration booth in the infrastructure zone. Please do stop by. We'd love to say a hi to you and get your questions. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.